Alright, what you see here is a FASCO Charleston ceiling fan. It's from the year 1984, and I got this from Nathan Dasilva about a good 4 years ago now. So this is the first time I'm actually getting around to testing it. And the reason is because I could not find the mounting bracket for the longest time. Also, I was floor testing back in, and I could have floor tested this, but I figured it'd be better not to, and such. But yeah, the fan on video looks to be in good shape, but in person you can definitely tell it's not in the best shape. The blades are pretty worn out finish-wise. There's some spots that have looks worn out and such. The white kit is not original, you know, the pull chains, I added those onto it to make it look more complete. This white kit was the Harbor Breeze one that came in matte white. I got at a thrift store for $7 with the other finishes it came with as well. I figured I'd paint it off-white just so it can match the fan better. It has more of a polished look to it, whereas the fan looks more, it's not really polished looking, but it's really hard to notice. But as you can see with the blades, definitely pretty worn and such. But I actually like that it looks a bit worn out because it gives it more of an older look to it. Like it makes it look kind of antiquish in some ways, even though it's not, it's from the 80s. But it really makes it look like an old fan you like in a barn or something. Or somewhere where it's like where they use it a lot. I kind of like the look that it has on it. But yeah, it just gives it a very vintagey look. Just looking more worn out, I guess. The blades and such. It looks like it definitely gives me like old farm vibes and such. I could refinish it, but I'd rather see it as is. If it was worse than how it is, I would probably redo it. But it's still in good enough shape, appearance-wise, if I was to use it somewhere. But yeah, I am showing it with the white only because it did not come with a switch cap. But I also really do like how these fans look with a schoolhouse coat. I think it's the best combo you can have on them. For the white one, that is. For the white kits I've seen on these, and they look pretty nice as well. But yeah, those pull chains I figured would look nice on it because I've noticed some older fans that were white would have like, instead of a white pull chain fob, they would have like a wooden one like this. So I figured this would make it look more vintagey instead of using white ones. But yeah. So the fan did have quite a bit of bearing noise when I first got it. I did oil it, but it's still a little bit noisy, but I could oil it again, but since I already have it up, I'd rather not do it. It runs fine. It doesn't make that bad bearing noise from when I first got it many years ago. But yeah. Now this is a second generation one, as for those who don't know. But this fan was actually the first fan I got from Nathan, along with his Harvey Springfield. And the reason why I got this off him is because you don't really see FASCO fans too much up north. You see them quite a bit down south. But up north, you don't see them too often. And I do have childhood memories of FASCO Charlestons. Back at the old apartment, there was a church in front of it that had 4 of these. In each corner, I know they were. I remember that they were FASCOs of this exact version because they had the blades pointed up like this. They didn't have that unique looking switch cap that the later ones would have, or 3rd gens, and the blade arms looked just like these, and they pointed up, and the vents and the blades pointing up was what made me realize that they were FASCOs later on. I don't think they're there anymore because that church actually got relocated to like a corner of where it was. Now it's being used as a library for lawyers and such. They could be in there. I really don't know, but I have not been there since like 2008-ish. Was like when they moved it. But I always found it to be a very unique install. There's like one in each corner. But yeah. So they are very, very big childhood fans for me. Even though I didn't see them often, it was one of the first true vintage fans I remember seeing as a kid and such. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show it with the light. But I'll also figure maybe show the top. There's the tag and all of the information. It's definitely like a fan I could see like at a if you went to like a fair or something, or like an old restaurant or something, I can see this in many installations and such. But I mean, this is one of the fans I've been wanting to test for the longest time since I got it. But, yeah, let me shut off the lights and see how it lights up this room. Lights it up decently. I mean, it's just a regular schoolhouse. So, I mean, yeah. Now, this one is more of an older schoolhouse glow, but I figured I'd get one that would look more vintagey, not more modernish looking. Because they do have some that the shape looks more newer. Because this is actually from an older, this is from the SMC fan that I got at the Globe, so I figured that would actually look a lot nicer on this than a more modern looking one. I mean, they're about the same thing, but like this one definitely has like the shape of an older schoolhouse globe versus what you see nowadays. It looks more like the antique-ish ones on the bottom portion where it curves in like that, but like it's more triangular in a sense, not like smoothed in like the newer ones. Yeah. Let's go ahead and start the fan off on low. And reverse switch is right there, just like the with the NuTone Vanity Deluxe fans. Now the fan did have quite a bit of a wobble when I first put it up. I'm thinking because one of the blades was warped downwards over time. So I flipped it upside down, that one Pacific blade, and it wobbles less now. Basically, it wobbled about the same as the Delta 2 that was in my bedroom at the old place for a very short time. But yeah, it has a very nice low speed. That's something I've always liked about these fans. But yeah, Nathan has told me that he wouldn't mind buying this back for me, but this is definitely a fan I'm not getting rid of. It's definitely one of my favorite fans in the collection, without a question. I mean, I like the antique brass ones quite a bit too, but the white one I really do like, since those are the ones I saw as a kid. Yeah, it might be one of the slowest fans I have in terms of like a low speed that I've tested so far. I mean, it definitely seems to go slower than Casablanca's do on low speed. I know NuTones have a pretty good low speed as well, but if you're using it with the variable speed control versus the actual variable speed control on the fan itself. But yeah, it's a very nice aesthetic low speed. That's something I really do like about these vintage fans with 4 blades when they have that aesthetic low speed. It's really not blowing a ton of air on a low speed, in all honesty, despite it being nice looking. It's more like for visual, I'd say. I mean, it moves some air, but it's really, in all honesty, it's probably one of the weakest air movements I felt from a fan on low speed, unfortunately, but the looks of it does make up for it, at least. And this definitely has more of an aesthetic look to it and such. I mean, I know that's something I would do quite a bit back then, where the low speed would just be more for looks sometimes instead of actual function. It's kind of funny, because I've noticed up north you tend to find more NuTone Vanity Deluxes instead of these, but down south you tend to find a lot more of these than NuTones, I've noticed. Right? So I always found that very kind of, I want to say unusual, but like kind of cool that like you find one more. I mean, I know like these were the FASCO was making them from like down south, whereas NuTone was making the stuff was located up north, so it kind of makes sense. Definitely does look good in the back with this background too, actually. I mean, it's dead silent on the low speed, so that's good. Yeah, this one I was actually gonna have tested before moving everything out of the basement, but it's just I had to focus more on that. But this actually would have been one of the last ones I was testing before moving them out. But then I actually ended up testing back here again, so it doesn't really matter now. But this actually was one I would have tested a little bit earlier. And such. Alright, now to move it up to medium. But yeah, definitely speeds up quite a bit on the medium speed. And it's starting to wobble just a tiny bit on the medium speed. And it could also be that, like, with the low speed, I didn't feel too much from it, because it's also 90 degrees out right now. So that could also be the other reason. I'm feeling quite a breeze from it on the medium speed, though, from over here. I mean, I definitely know a lot of people are going to be happy to finally see this being tested. This is actually something I know that a lot of people have been requesting for quite a long time now. Yeah, no, the light kit that's on the Hunter bathroom dressing room, well, release the coastal breeze that I got. That light kit was originally on this fan when I got it from Nathan, which didn't look bad if you had a smaller globe or if it was a smaller fan, but I feel like a regular sized or a 4-inch fitter with a schoolhouse would look better on it than a tinier one. I just thought it looked way too small, and also didn't really fit the housing and such that well either. So you can kind of see inside of it a tiny bit from what I remember. Yeah, it definitely is punching a decent breeze on medium. Now these fans, from what I've been hearing from some people, that they are known for not having the best bearings and such. Well, for a K55 fan, they definitely perform good, but in terms of quality build and such, they're not the greatest compared to other fans that use a K55 motor. Which, looking at it and feeling like the metal parts on it, I can definitely say that it is partially true. They definitely are cool looking fans, but I feel it. But compared to other fans that use the K55 motor and such, the metal parts on this fan really aren't the highest quality. I mean, it's definitely better than today's standards and such, without a question. Of like, but like, I don't know. It didn't feel like these were like showroom fans and such back then, from what I know. But at the same time, it doesn't really. The metal parts really aren't like Casablanca quality or NuTone, very deluxe quality and such, for example. But still, they're still good. But it's just more of like a cheaper made fan that uses a K55 fan, and like it's good to move. It's just the parts aren't as good as other fans that would use this motor. But, yeah, it definitely looks pretty good with the light on. I've always just loved the look of the flywheel and the blades mounting on top like that. All right, now to move it up to the high speed. It's definitely moving quite a bit of air on the high speed. And it does have a little bit of a wobble on the high speed. It was a lot worse before I flipped that blade over. One thing that would suck is if the blades were out of position. Bending them back into a position would be a bit tricky because they are pretty solid. But like on the motor housing, the metal definitely doesn't seem to be as solid quality. But it's not bad quality. It's just not as high quality as like other stack motored fans and such. Yeah, it definitely doesn't go as fast as like a Casablanca fan would and such. I mean, it's a 52-inch one. A lot of Casablancas I've tested are 50 inches. There's not too many that are 52 inches. I've tested. Well, I mean, there's the Delta I tested down here, the brown one. So I'd say it's about it. I actually take that back. It definitely goes about as fast as the Delta did. Yeah, definitely. This would definitely really be a good fan for a very old looking kitchen that has like a lot of white cabinets and such. So definitely look perfect there without a question. And with it being in the condition that it's in, I really wouldn't mind putting it in a kitchen. Cause one, it's already an off-white fan and such, so I wouldn't mind. And plus, it already has a worn-out look a little bit. But also, I feel like that would kind of look cool in the kitchen as well. If I was doing like an old barn type kitchen or just an old kitchen in general, I would do that. But I'm really not into older kitchens. I like them, but if it was up to me, I'd rather have something that's a little bit more updated, like at least like late 80s or like 90s, early 2000s type kitchen. I mean, I wouldn't mind an older kitchen, but like, I don't know. It really depends on the house itself, really. Like at the old apartment, if had the light been in a different spot of that kitchen, it could have fit a 52-inch fan in there. For those who remember the old apartment, the light I showed when I was thinking about putting a fan there and such, that old schoolhouse light there. This would have looked good there, for an example, in that type of kitchen. So, yeah. Bring it up close. Yeah, air movement. Yeah, it's definitely pushing a very strong breeze, without a question. I do wish that I had a switch cap for it, but I mean, it's not really the biggest deal. I do like it. I have to like it quite a bit. I know it's really not hard to make a switch cap for this. Finding if I was to make one myself to get it to match the fan finish without it looking like making it look obvious that it was a replacement switch cap, not the original, would be kind of tricky. And so the shine on the off-white on it is already it's more worn looking compared to like the white kits where I painted it to be off-white just like the fan. So it would kind of look a little obvious that it wasn't the original one. And if I was to find one that was actually an original one and such, that'd be a different story. If I was to install it somewhere, it would definitely be the way you see it right here, though. So, with these exact pull chains, most likely. Alright, now shut it off. You spin down and I'll show it on reverse. I remember Nathan got this for like $10 off of Craigslist back then. I remember Brandon was interested in getting it, but Nathan ended up getting it first since he lived closer and such. But at least I went to one of the collectors got it, not just some random and such. That way it stays like within the fan community in a sense. But yeah, it's definitely a fan I've always really enjoyed having, even though I never really talked about how much I like these fans and such. But yeah, it definitely is a powerful fan. I don't think I've seen the ones at that church on the high speed when I saw them. But I really am wondering if they're still there. Like, they have chandeliers in there, and I see the lights on, but they're in the corners, and they always have like blinds and such, what makes it trickier to see them. They possibly still are there, but I really doubt it. It looks like they renovated it quite a bit, but you never know. They could still be in there. But I really doubt I would even be able to go in there. Maybe, but maybe not. But I already know for a fact it's very unlikely I would even be able to take my phone inside or pictures inside of it, because I know if I'm like courthouses and such, they're very they really don't let people go inside of cell phones and such. And this was actually a fan that, before I got that light kit for the NuTone, I thought this would actually look pretty nice in the dining room as well. And it definitely would, but it looks really worn for the dining room at the same time. Like if it was like a polished brass one or an antique brass one in there, I think that would actually look nicer too, but I don't know, it's just the worn look of it definitely would be a bit off for that dining room and such here. But it also just looks more like a kitchen fan with the way I have it set up and such. So, yeah, let me go ahead and reverse it. And I'll show it on reverse. Alright, I'll show up the light. Now for medium. Now for high. It definitely seems to wobble a bit more in reverse. I definitely don't want to. Oops. Let's do it for a quick second. So yep, that's what I was afraid of it doing. That it would bounce out of the position. The way these fans mount, kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit different and such. It kind of isn't as secured in the sense like of it falling out. It's easier for it to kind of have a torque to it and such. But yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.